You're sitting at dinner with your closest friends. The bill arrives and someone suggests splitting it evenly. You ordered the cheapest thing on the menu and had water. Your friend ordered 3 cocktails, an appetizer, the lobster, and dessert. You do the mental math. Your meal was $28. Your share of the split bill is $73. You smile, nod, and hand over your card because saying something would make you look cheap. Congratulations, you just paid a $45 tax for having friends. This isn't a one-time thing. This is systematic wealth extraction disguised as social harmony. And if you think I'm being dramatic, let's talk about what this pattern actually costs you over a lifetime. My name is Marcus, and I've spent an uncomfortable amount of time calculating the financial damage inflicted by the people who supposedly care about you most. Friendship operates like a subscription service you never agree to. The average American spends over $4,000 per year on social obligations: weddings, birthday dinners, drinks after work, weekend trips. These aren't luxuries you chose. These are social taxes. Let's start with the most predatory social construct ever invented: the destination bachelor party. Your buddy from college is getting married. Great. But he's decided the appropriate way to celebrate is a 4-day trip to Miami or Vegas. You don't want to go. You know you can't afford it. But 12 other guys are going, and you've known this person since freshman year, so what are you supposed to do? You book the flight for $400 and split the Airbnb for another $300. Dinner every night because you're celebrating, $200. Drinks because that's the entire point, apparently, $300. Plus activities, cover charges, and a group gift, another $200. You just spent $1,400 to watch someone you see twice a year get embarrassingly drunk in a city you didn't want to visit. But wait, the wedding hasn't even happened yet. That's another $500 for travel and accommodations plus the gift. Let's call it $200 if you're being generous, $100 if you're being realistic. Suddenly, one friend's life decision has cost you over $2,000, and you're supposed to be happy about it. Now, multiply this across your social circle. If you're in your late 20s or early 30s, you're hitting peak wedding season. That's 4 to 6 weddings per year if you're remotely social. Even if you skip the bachelor parties, which brands you as a bad friend, you're still looking at $3,000 to $4,000 annually, just to watch people you barely keep in touch with make promises they have a 50% chance of keeping. The math gets worse when you factor in birthday dinners. Someone in your friend group has a birthday every single month. That's 12 mandatory dinners where you're expected to subsidize someone else's celebration. The birthday person doesn't pay. Obviously, that cost gets split among everyone else. You show up thinking you'll grab a burger and a beer, $40 tops. But the birthday person ordered champagne for the table. Now you're in for $85 before tip. Do this monthly and you spent over $1,000 per year celebrating the fact that your friend successfully orbited the sun. These aren't luxuries, they're social taxes levied by your peer group. Then there's the lifestyle creep that happens when one person in the group upgrades their life. Your friend buys a boat, not your problem, right? Wrong. Because now there are boat days, you need to bring premium beer, not the cheap stuff. You need to chip in for gas because apparently boats consume fuel like a small aircraft. You need appropriate boat shoes, which is somehow a real category of footwear that costs money. One person's boat becomes everyone's financial burden. Or someone in your group gets really into wine. Suddenly, casual hangouts at someone's apartment turn into wine tasting events where everyone's expected to bring a bottle that costs more than $15. You are fine with boxed wine. Boxed wine is a technological marvel that keeps wine fresh, but now you're browsing the wine section like you're studying for an exam, trying to find something that won't get you mocked. The sneakiest wealth drain is the group trip. It always starts innocently. Someone says, "Wouldn't it be fun if we all went somewhere together?" Yes, in theory. But group trips are where friendships go to reveal their true financial hierarchies. One couple wants a nice hotel. You were thinking hostel or maybe a budget Airbnb. Someone wants to eat at actual restaurants for every meal. You were planning to hit a grocery store. The group operates at the spending level of its wealthiest member. Everyone else quietly goes into debt trying to keep pace. What makes this so insidious is that it's completely invisible. Nobody sends you an invoice labeled friendship tax. It's 1,000 small decisions where saying no feels worse than saying yes. It's death by 1,000 brunches. Each individual expense seems reasonable in isolation, but they compound into a pattern that keeps you broke. And here's what really bothers me about this whole system. The people pushing these expensive social norms the hardest are often the ones who can least afford it. They're not rich. They're just better at hiding their credit card debt. They've bought into the idea that experiences equal happiness, but somehow that philosophy always involves spending money at bars and restaurants. There's a psychological trap at work here. When you spend money in a group setting, it doesn't feel like spending. It feels like participating. The pain of payment gets diluted across the social experience. Your brain codes it as fun, not as an expense. This is why people who are ruthlessly frugal in their personal lives will hemorrhage cash in social situations without blinking. The social reward overrides the financial pain, and you wake up 3 days later wondering where $200 went. It's the mechanism that keeps you trapped. Here is the most painful aspect of the friendship tax. The second you start talking about it, you become that guy, the one who ruins the mood for everyone else. Try suggesting splitting the bill by what everyone actually ate. There will be an awkward silence. You'll be called petty, cheap, not a team player. We fear that awkwardness more than we fear losing the money. We pay a $50 premium on dinner just to avoid feeling like an outsider in a group of people who supposedly love us. It's a compliance tax. And the less secure you feel about your value to the group, the more you're willing to pay just to remain a part of it. But here's a secret. Real friends don't charge you a premium for access to them. If your friendship requires financial self-sacrifice, it's not a friendship. It's a transaction. How do you stop this drain without losing all your friends? Step 1 is the social veto. You need to stop saying yes out of habit. When that invitation for another mandatory brunch or trip hits the group chat, pause. Ask yourself, am I going because I want to, or because I'm afraid of the social consequences of saying no? If the answer is fear, you've already lost. A friendship based on the fear of looking poor or boring is just another form of social debt. Set your rules in advance. Say, hey guys, I'm focusing on some specific financial goals this year, so I'm going to pass on the big trips, but I'd love to grab a coffee or go for a walk. True friends will understand. More than that, some of them will breathe a sigh of relief because they've been secretly suffocating under those same expenses, too afraid to be the first to speak up. Calculate how much you'll save in a year just by saying no to 2 unnecessary weddings and half of those brunches. That's not just money in the bank, that's your future capital. If you invest that $4,000 that usually goes toward the friendship tax at an 8% annual return, in 10 years, you'll have over $60,000. Just for not going to Miami. That money is your freedom. It's the ability to quit a job you hate or buy a house in the neighborhood you dreamed of. These are real assets against fleeting memories. I'm not telling you to become a hermit. I'm telling you to become selective. Spend money only on the social events that actually bring you joy, not just the ones that relieve your guilt. When you stop paying the friendship tax, you'll be surprised at how quickly your real life starts to grow. You'll finally start building your future instead of paying for someone else's present. Your wealth isn't what you spend to impress others, it's what stays with you after the guests have left and the bills are paid. The friendship tax is a choice. You choose to pay it every time you're afraid to say no. But remember, every dollar spent on someone else's approval is a dollar stolen from your future. Real freedom begins where your need to fit in with a group that drags you down ends. Be the one who sets the rules of the game. Stop subsidizing someone else's lifestyle at the expense of your well-being. Your life is not a group project, it is your personal responsibility. My name's Marcus, and I'm here to remind you, your friendships are priceless, but your money isn't. Spend it on what actually matters.